To be able to wayfind, to navigate, you literally have to keep your home in your mind so that you know where you're going, which, I mean, literally, there's no maps, no compasses. Like, you have to be able to chart the position by the stars and always remember where you're coming from, which to me is such a metaphor for what we aspire to do in real life, sort of never forget where we came from, and that will always sort of help guide our way. I really related to Moana in a lot of ways. I think I love characters with drive. Moana knows exactly who she is and what she wants to do. She is someone who, since she was a little girl, stared out at that ocean and wanted to know what was on the other side of the horizon. And you know, she had her responsibilities at home, and she has this family that she loves and this island that she loves, but there's that inside voice that's calling. And so to answer that, to be able to quiet life enough that you hear that inner voice that is who you really are, you know, that's something that's really worth writing about, because I think, you know, I think it's so important. What's really wonderful about working with them is and really working in the Disney experience is you're always sort of getting ideas from people who make the thing. You know, Ron and John are some of our greatest animators, and so you're in a meeting and they're doodling. And you know, at your normal job, you know, at your normal board meeting, doodling is frowned upon, but at a good Disney meeting, everyone's come away with like 4 or 5 doodles, because they think entirely visually, and they have an incredible visual vocabulary. And I try to match that musically. So that's always really fun. You know, there'd be moments where I would bring in just a verse and a chorus. I was like, I think this is where we're heading with this song. And then they'd say, well, what if Tamatoa has all these jewels and the reflections are what's singing, and that would then inform the song in turn. So it's sort of visuals informing music and always in service of story. I was sort of the last man on the team, and the fun of that was jumping on a plane, going halfway around the world, and then 2 days later, you know, being in a studio with Opataya and Mark in New Zealand, seeing lots of local groups perform, and seeing just incredible choruses and musical groups performing, and really getting a sense of the diversity of music in this world, in this part of the world. And then we were in a studio 2 days later, and one of the first things that came out of that experience, really in New Zealand, was the song that you hear in the trailer, We Know the Way. We Know the Way was really the first song we all wrote together for the movie. Opataya brought in the melody and the lyrics in his native language, and then Mark and I got in there and just sort of started playing with him, like really just vibing out, playing drums. Where You Are is another one where, you know, we always want to start sort of within the rhythmic world of the Pacific Islands. So this was, I'm sure there's video of Mark and Opataya and I just on drums, just finding rhythms we liked. And I remember on that one, Opie just started improvising, just sort of like singing, da, 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 just vowels, da, 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 and we recorded all of it, and then I went away with it and sort of found my favorite of his improvisations and built a melody out of that. So the make way, Moana, it's time you knew, those were all Opie improvising over Mark playing guitar and me playing drums. And then, you know, the larger point of that song, it's a very tough needle to thread, because Moana loves her island and she loves her people, but at the same time, at every moment, she turns to the sea. That's her default mode. Dwayne has such incredible charm, and he's such a humble guy, even though he has no need to be modest about anything. So I just sort of thought, what would be like the most fun thing to hear The Rock sing? And it's, you're welcome. You're welcome for my existence. You're welcome for the fact that you get to meet me. It's such playing into his charm and his confidence and his cockiness. And so it was a real joy to write, because it's fun to get to play that. The villain song. Man, Disney has some good villain songs. Jafar, Scar, Cruella, Ursula, poor unfortunate souls. So we get to meet this murderous, mean crab named Tamatoa, and the fun for me was finding out Jermaine Clement from Flight of the Conchords was going to provide the voice, which is such a great, distinctive voice. And we really wanted to sort of write the anti-lesson of the movie, where, if Moana's journey is finding out what that voice inside her says and who she really is, Tamatoa comes in and goes, doesn't matter. Who cares? It's about how you look. He's from the deepest, darkest part of the sea. Your armor is important. The glitter that attracts prey is important. So who cares who you are on the inside? You gotta be shiny, homie. So that was enormous fun to write. We're trying to do a lot of things with the score of this movie. One, it's a huge canvas. The ocean is literally a character in our movie. So what does the ocean sound like? It is set in the Pacific Islands. What does that world sound like? So we drew upon that culture and that rich musical culture of that part of the world. At the same time, it is also this young woman's journey. We sort of start on her island. As she goes further from her island, I think the music and the kinds of music that this movie encompasses grow exponentially with her. You have so much to look forward to when you watch this movie. What's really exciting about Moana is it has a little bit of everything. It's both sweeping in scope and intimate. It is the story of this young woman fearlessly discovering who she is. But she's also doing it with demigods and, below the sea and fighting monsters. So it's got lots of action and it's really funny in places. It's also a glimpse into this sort of part of the world inspired by the stories from the Pacific Islands. And so it's this glimpse in this world you've never seen before. This was really sort of the moment where we see what where Moana says for herself how she feels, where we don't just see her going towards the water, but she sings like, this is where I belong. And I've always wanted to sort of be on the other side of that horizon. Daunting to put music and lyrics to that, but at the same time, it's so exciting because you're part of a tradition of strong Disney characters who know what they want.